Welcome back, Ranger Faithful, to another segment of Raw Reviews. And it's the long-awaited fourth segment where we combine all of the various tchotchkes together and rate the actual combinations. So, might as well start with the first one, the Mystic Dragon and Gokai. Well, obviously you have to break it apart into its component pieces. That was easy enough. And we need to take trying to show up your American counterpart Gokai. Now we take Gokai, turn him around so that all his chambers will open up. Pop out the cannon. Set it aside since we will not be using it. Use my handy-dandy remote to zoom the camera in. Let's fold up our dragon here so we can stick him inside. The entire idea is that he's supposed to be able to flip out. Get these ears out of the way, get the head out of the way. One foot. It's kind of a bummer. There doesn't seem to be any mechanism that makes it actually lock in. It just sits there. Okay, Magic Dragon 2, get out of the way. Them in the other way. Nani? It'll be easier to just pop the damn legs off and do this. That's what we're going to do. Instead of having me hunched over while trying to remain on camera. There is a connector point in the back. A little tab there. There's a tab here. Clicks in, good. And that actually prevents this door from, maybe it doesn't. In any case, that's only one leg. We still have another leg we have to pop off. Got the same setup. Let's get a firm connection in there. same thing here. Pop those off. There it is. Get a nice satisfying click when it locks in. And there we have Magi Gokai. Hooray! Not exactly one of the most visually impressive formations now, is it? So let us move Magi Gokai aside. Let's pick out the legendary Megazord. Do the same thing, which we will leave off for now, since, you know, I'm not going to be using it for a bit. Disassemble our dragon again. We'll once again start with the feet. And since we're dealing with Zord Builder ports. Just click it on those ports right in the front. Wings are next. And we have got Zord Builder ports right here on the side that we can flick down. I put this one in wrong. There we go. They're certainly sturdy little ports. And I'll form the head. Just popped off an arm from the dragon. Wunderbar. And I did it again. Oh well, he'll be armless. Unless I can flick it back on while he's still in here, which I might be able to do. Yep, there we go. So there we have it. Magi, Gokai, and Mystic Legendary Megazord. All in all, they're about equal. I mean, it's not exactly the most impressive of forms. It's kind of got a bunch of clunky parts hanging off. You know, the parts aren't particularly small, so I wouldn't be too worried about kids, but they're just kind of blah. There's really nothing to look at. There's no drama, there's nothing there. It's the weakest of the forms, quite frankly. So, we've got a dragon down. Let's move on to the next one. Gokai, there's a little tab here above that should make it easier to release. Or I can try the switch in the back. Nothing particular seems to be needed to remove them. Just pull out and toss. Again, I'm just going to remove the limbs, because that makes it easier. Oh, in the back there's a button you can flip to release them easily. Even that's pretty difficult. You know what, I'm going to leave you disassembling, Gokai. I'm going to have to keep disassembling you for all the various combinations. Lord knows if I'm not patient enough for this, a 4-year-old isn't going to be. Switch on the back if you need help popping it out. So the next one in the series was SPD, so we will go with that. Take our Taco Striker apart. Hush up, you. This is the back compartment. The front compartment is what becomes the guns. What is the best way to put this in here? Click in. And done. Click in and done. Stay. Click in and done. Click in and done. Reassemble. SPD, Dika, Gokai. Of course, we're disassembling our SPD robot, and of course, since half of it's on the Zeobot, since I showed you previously, they're exactly the same mold. So, okay, here. Zord Builder port. Zord Builder port. Zord Builder port. And look at that. Just enough clearance for the wheel. Great design there. Some people forget to do stuff like that. A few different ways you can assemble this, but for the official transformation, Zord Builder port, Zord Builder port. Once again, I'm regretting doing all of this without having a stable surface to hold it down on. A bit clunky, but does its job. This one does not actually click in, from what I can tell, which is kind of something of a bummer. It just sort of sits rather snugly in the chest cavity. And there you go, Dika Robo. SPD. Emergency. And of course, since Zeo has the exact same parts, it'll put together the same way. But that wouldn't be much fun now, would it? So let's throw everything we can onto this. More DACA! More DACA! Well, it just so happens we do have more DACA. There are so many Zord Builder ports on this thing, I'm sure I could find a place to put this headpiece. Like, ooh, that could work. You need to move over so I have a stable surface to work with. We are not done yet, folks. Oh no, not by a long shot. where you see both of the arms have Zord Builder ports on the back. I think you can figure out where I'm going with this. But that's pretty much the entire purpose Zord Builder is made, is so you can mix and match and do crazy combinations like this. But moving on, since that's just something fun I thought I'd show, considering I had these guys already disassembled and in parts everywhere. Parts everywhere. There, I figured out what to do with the claws. Oh well. I still have tons of parts on this little guy. Alrighty then. So now we have the 2-in-1 combiner. The Lion Zord, who also becomes the Samurai Zord. So, let's completely disassemble him until he's nothing but spare parts. Off our head. I should probably leave that on as the first formation that we should probably show off. The lion formation. Pretty much involves no change to the lion whatsoever. So let's get that one out of the way. Pop off our legs. We're not going to be needing them at all. For the rest of these transformations, we will not need the girls' mecha at all. They're completely superfluous. Legendary Wild Force Megazord. There you go. That's all there is to it. So we'll move him aside. Move the big guy in. And for the big guy, let's try and get these things out. Looks like it's just going to be the trend of things. I have to pop off the limb in order to get the parts out because of the way I am filming the angle I'm standing at. Release is hidden by the wheel. To the release without having to pop a limb off. I think I can. Release. Release. Actually, just pop those legs off. We're not going to be using them again for any of our transformations. Now, those who remember my Gokai video, remember I said that the batteries weren't actually dead. I actually had a corroded battery in there. So when I pulled it out, I have to replace the batteries. And I cleaned off the corrosion a bit, and now, just so you can see what actually light and sound functions are, because they're all contained completely within the head and nowhere else. Turn on noise. Tap the head. That's it. Don't growl at me just because I decapitated you. You're going to be a pain to get out, aren't you? Now, there's a release. Very hard to find. Underneath the green arm. Right there. And see what I mean? Not going to need that. Almost forgot to take the head off of this guy. Well, actually, I don't need to take the head off, do I? This is one of those few cases where we keep the little chamber. Ah, bugger. Doesn't matter. You know how it looks with the chest piece. Plus, we're going to be going on to the next transformation anyway. Close up the front. Reattach the head that I took off for demo purposes. Swing these swords out of the way. And zoom camera. Or not. You can not zoom. There we go. Just click him down, and there we go. He's in Wild Force form. Yay! Such a dramatic knot form. Honestly, I'm finding most of the combinations are rather uninspired. But, moving on. We now have to move on to the samurai formation, shall we? Well, for the samurai formation, we are going to need the open chest cavity, so pop off this guy. Actually, let's completely disassemble this guy. We're going to need every single one of his parts separate. Pop off that head. We're going to need the accessories. Pop on our new head, which has Zord Builder ports of its own. Leave his Nagari alone for a moment. Head into the central chamber. Does have connection points. There, nice and firm. You could probably put the legs in the other way if you wanted to. There's really nothing stopping you. I think that's what I'm going to do, because I think actually that's the way it's supposed to go. But you can see, as I just showed you, they can go in either way. A little odd, because you have the blue symbol on the green side, the green symbol on the blue side, but you can always switch the arms around if you so desired. Take off the sword. Thus we can assemble the Nagari. For the heck of it, we'll put that in the green hand. Doesn't look like we can fit it in the green hand. Not without some fiddling, but whatever. We'll deal. That's not my big issue. I want to show everything off first. One Nagari in that hand. Samurai Super Blade, Mega Blade, whatever you want to call it. Fits in there well enough. If I fiddled around with it a bit and I was working on it at level ground instead of, turned around as I am, it would fit better. But that's a nice snug fit. These legs are completely superfluous and serve no function whatsoever. Alright, so on to Gokai. obviously we want to pop the head off. Pop this helmet off. Pop off our lion's butt. Open up his tail. And give a butt hat to our Gokai. Lovely, lovely butt-hatted Gokai. Legs are wall in unit, so there will be no movement whatsoever, even though that guy does actually have some movement. Back legs are, again, superfluous and serve no function whatsoever. Fold open the tail. Fold down the guard. Let's do it a bit differently here and give blue the blue side, the super big sword. Go into my bag of parts. Grab the Nagiri lance. Pop off our sabers, which we haven't touched this entire series. Put them in alternating positions. On Nagiri. And it looks like, since it's a completely hollow piece, that we have to stick it in the blue side. Which means that we actually can't stick this in the other hand. It's a choice either or. Since it's got this little hook on the end, we can't actually slide it down. But we can at least try with this one. So, there you go. Samurai Gokai. Lights and sounds included. Versus Samurai Legendary Megazord. Honestly, they're about the same again. All the transformations are all just kind of blah. They don't really do much or anything. There's just not much to say about them. The later ones might be more interesting, but they're just, they don't really change the profile enough for it to be interesting to me. That said, maybe you like it. On a general whole, which do I find is a superior product in terms of transformations? Well, Gokai is more show accurate, but I think I'm going to have to give the nod to the US release once again, mainly because, intentional or not as it may be, you do have two hands that you can work with, and you have all these extra Zord builder parts, which, as I showed previously, you can go crazy with. So once again, Bandai of America, did a bang-up job. Gokai versus Samurai versus Legendary Megazord. And with that, I think we are good to go. I also think, if you look, this feels like a much larger sword as it was from the show than this one, which seems, about regular weapon size as opposed to this, which is massive compared to the thing it came on. So, with that all said, there you go. I consider myself a fan of the Sentai, but I have to say that Bandai of America did a great job this time. And there we go with our combination showcase. Hope you enjoyed the show. And